We are about to be live here on Instagram. So we're talking about tonight with a really awesome dude, Austen Gravett. And tonight we're going to be talking about vision, mission, values in a business, as a coach, and in your life. It's going to be really awesome. So I'm going to put you up here. I'm going to be down here. I'm going to talk to this camera. And don't mind all my stuff over there. Here we go. It's going to be lit. We out here. Guys, I'm going to shoot it. This doesn't fucking matter at this point. He calls him a fucking flow.
The depression really just grew and grew and grew. So in just a little bit, I will be going live with my good friend at the depression really just.
Yo.
What is up? We are live, just a little bit behind, 1 or 2 minutes behind. We're having a little bit of tech difficulties setting this bad boy up, but we are rocking and rolling. We are live in the house. Graham, my brother, is about to come on here in just a little bit.
I'm trying to.
First of all, let's get the audience going just a little bit before we have him come on here. I want to make sure that you guys can hear me loud and clear. I see Graham's in the house. Fuck yeah. And just a forewarning, guys, I do curse a lot. I'm just going to put that out there. So if you have sensitive ears or if children are around, best believe it probably. Or if you tolerate me, then you know, I'm sorry for my profanity. Awesome. So, guys, where are you from? Let me know below. If you can hear me, say yes. Where are you from? I'm about to have Kelly. I'm about to have my brother Graham come on here. Graham, let me 1 second. I got a little bit of stuff I want to talk about. And guys, today, this is going to be like off the cuff. Like 95% of it, I am going to be just, you know, we're going to be shooting the shit, talking, keeping it real. And you know what? I'm going to shut up. I'm going to have Graham come on here now, and we're going to hit it off. So, okay, so take your time. Awesome. But yeah, we're going to shoot the shit. We're going to just, like, keep it real. You know, I don't really want to, like, go off notes. I feel like that's kind of unauthentic or inauthentic. I feel like it's a little fabricated. So we're going to do this the real way, and we're going to keep it super real, and we're just going to, like, have a conversation. We're just going to have a conversation like we normally do. And I met Graham actually not too long ago, but you know what? I need to shut up and have him on here. So let's do it.
Hey, what's up, brother? Can you hear me?
Yo, I can hear you loud and clear. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. What's going on, my man?
Not much, dude. Not much. Picked a good night to chat.
Yeah, dude, it's popping in here. There's tons of people. I love it, dude. People from all over the place.
I know.
Cool.
We're going to have a lot more. They'll come on. But yeah, it's been good so far. It looks like I was like, man, I need to really shut up soon because all these people are going to be scared if I keep talking.
They're good, dude. Literally no worries at all, man.
How you doing, man? How was your day?
Dude, day has been fantastic. Last week, I finished up a strength program, and then last week, I started doing calisthenics in the morning and then doing my second session of training in the evening. So been enjoying the hell out of getting the 2-a-days back in again. I got like a good 4.5 mile run in earlier, like an hour and a half ago. Feeling good. Going to do this with you. Had great client calls today, and then going to make some breakfast and pick up my girlfriend tomorrow at the airport at 4:30 in the morning.
Amazing, man. Yeah, I saw you said the strength program. I saw you recently. You like had like an 80-pound increase on your like bench. That was nuts.
Yeah, dude. So 8 weeks. I worked with my old trainer who used to be a strength and conditioning coach for the Mets and has worked with other professional teams as well. And he was my trainer when I first really got into training the right way with like actual science, right? And he helped me make some massive changes. I mean, I was like 18 years old when I was working with him originally, and I was benching like 375, hang cleaning, power clean over 250, and squatting like 500 when I was 18. So
Wow.
I implemented some of that stuff in the last 8 weeks, and I saw like an 80-pound increase on my bench. I went from 255 to 335.
Oof, those are some crazy numbers, man.
Yeah, feel good. I'm really excited. And then I'm even more excited because now I'm done. Like, I love doing it, but it takes like 3 hours sometimes to do everything. And
Dude,
it's
I
like,
know.
you know,
I know.
yeah. And I see you always posting your quick workouts, so I'm like, that's my style.
Exactly, dude. Same shit. I don't want to say burn myself out because the body's capable of obviously pushing itself very far. But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take a break on everything and focus, all my attention to business, because it was just like it was consuming, like you said, 3 hours a day, man. Yeah. Just getting there, the session, the warm up, it was just so, I hit my goal. Same thing, man. Kind of take a step back. Now I'm doing like the full body, upper, lower,
my favorite,
quick workouts. I'm loving it. I mean, it's more ideal right now, but it'll change in the future. I'll go back to it. So.
Yeah, dude, 100%. And it's all ebbs and flows. It's all switching it up and keeping it consistent, and also keeping your body off balance, of course, as you're aware. But I think that a lot of fun comes with the creativity of like kind of free flowing it sometimes, letting it just roll off the cuff, just like this conversation. And really just getting to feel out your body and what you want to do, how you want to train. I know for me in the last 8 weeks, I've also cut out sugar. I cut out meat. So I've had like all kinds of freaking changes, but I feel really good, dude. I'm excited. Things are great. This year has been fantastic.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know if what you heard before. Hopefully I don't trip over. There's a cord right here. But basically, I don't know if you heard today, those that are listening in, I mean, this is super real, super authentic. Like, we're just going off the cuff. There's no script. I kind of want to tell them about our past, what was that, 3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Or was it 3 weeks ago, I think, we met?
Yeah, it was great. Finally, after years.
Finally, we met in person, not just, virtually, connecting over the internet. But yeah, we connected. We had a human-to-human interaction, everyone in here. Do you believe that? Human-to-human interaction.
We out here, dude.
I know, it was great, man. We went to, what was it, Founding Farmers, had a fucking phenomenal meal.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, I feel like we could have talked for like literally 8 hours that day. Plus 8 hours. I mean, so organic, so free flowing the conversation. So I was like, that's what I was saying. Everyone that's listening in, I was like, dude, I got to have him on here. We got to just like shoot the shit, have a good conversation. And there was so many gems that I remember in our conversation you brought up that like so many like golden nuggets. I was like, wow, like even I was like, holy shit. Like I didn't, something I even forgot about. I was like, wow, it brought it back into perspective. Or even new things that kind of were like eye-opening. And I was like, so many people can benefit from what I was listening to, from what you have to say, your background, your story, your hardships, your adversity you've had. And, I think it would, like I said, I was like, why not have him on here? Why not him share everything that he's working on and everyone he's impacted. Look, oh shit, not to get on a tangent, but somebody, Founding Farmers KOP. That's the one we were at. I think I just went through puberty right there too. It happens even at 28, guys.
Oh, you're hilarious, dude.
This beard is actually fake.
Oh god, you're funny. Yeah, no, dude, we had a great conversation, and I'm ready to dive in on any topics, really. Like, I think that this is so fun, and this is the collaboration, and this is the thing that I think a lot of people overlook, is the opportunity for two people just to have a conversation and allow us to lead and other people follow just from listening to our conversation, right? There's not necessarily even an agenda other than that we're going to collaborate to create a vibration, an energy signature, a frequency for the next like hour, however long before they kick us off. And just let people, if it's KOP and it's Founding Farmers and that's what they take from it, great. And if it's Vision, Mission, Values and that's what they take from it, great. And if it's like, I should probably mix up my program, then great. We out here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's the thing, guys. Those listening in, it's like, you don't need to take in all this information and, expect to do all these different things. Like, if you even just take one thing away from today, like you said, if it's founding farmers, or if it's, vision, mission, values, or if it's, even like one thing I want to talk to you about a little bit too is that one of your posts, you had a good post on external validation.
Yeah.
I think that's something that, bringing that up, and even, what was the other thing? What are you running from? I like that one live you had earlier, or that IGTV. So if it's one of those things, someone listening in today takes away, that's amazing.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Damn, what did I want to say? There was something that I can't remember. It'll come back. But yeah, man, I mean, like, I don't even know where we started off that one day when we hit it off. I think
I have no idea.
one of the first things that really stood out was obviously, vision, mission, values.
Yeah.
And that was like such a, even your story, what you told me, how that even just was the catalyst behind that and everything, how that flowed. Like, I would love to know, again, hear that story and everyone listening in, like how that manifested, how that worked.
How the vision, mission, how I came up with that? Or I might have missed you for a second.
No, it's all right. I didn't really phrase it right. I basically, like, what was the catalyst to you creating that? Like, what was, in your perspective of your business, and those listening in, are we going off Pillars of Growth, or are we going off Mind, Body, Spirit?
Yeah, Pillars of Growth is my body. It is, yeah, for sure. So basically, I started a company, and I had the idea for it in 2016 at the end of the year, and it basically was more or less just, I was a fitness coach up until that point, but I knew that in my journey that I had endeavored on, what I had realized was that on that journey, it was more than just fitness that I experienced. And what I experienced, by the way, was really just the transition of who I was and letting my ego kind of go and re-embrace this new version of myself, which stemmed from a lot of pain that I went through at the end of my college career. I was a drug addict and a drug dealer. My dad got sick with cancer. And then within the last year of his death, his slow and steady decline, I just had a major wake-up call. And I just started looking at myself in the mirror and I stopped looking at myself and letting myself go. Right? I started to call myself out and started to be like, yo, dude, like what you're doing isn't cool. And why you're doing it is even worse. Like, you're doing this because you're insecure that you aren't cool enough, or that you aren't going to earn enough money, or that you aren't going to maintain your status, etc. All these things that were so external, of course.
Yeah.
And it was through that experience of moving forward and watching my dad pass away that really gave me the courage to commit to something like a men's physique competition the following year, in which I spent the next 8 months training for it, finishing up school, started becoming a fitness coach. And then by the end of the year, had the idea for Pillars of Growth, having understood that what I went through, my transformation, wasn't just physical, it was mental, it was spiritual, it was all three, right? It was mind, body, spirit, bridging the gap to a higher consciousness, a higher awareness of myself, which allowed me then to do things that were in my, obviously in my favor, right? Things that were going to be good for me, right? Leading and allowing other people to follow me, and started putting me in this position where I realized that the things I was doing, not only were they helping me, but they were also helping other people as well. And it was through that I decided that Pillars of Growth was what I wanted to spend my life doing, which was what I felt like I had a calling for. That was my purpose, was to put my time into something that was going to help people develop themselves for who they truly are, and kind of be the bridge back to themselves, and raise their vibration, raise their frequency, raise their awareness, so we can change the world by first changing ourselves.
Yes, the origin is at the self, at the core.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a little bit about Pillars of Growth and Mind, Body, Spirit, and sort of a little bit of what I believe, which is that when you practice self-love and self-care every day in the form of mental, physical, and spiritual activities, right? And that could be anything from exercise to eating the right things, to going on a walk, to for your body, of course, shifting your energy and elevating it, right? And then for your mindset, obviously, like reading books, accumulating knowledge, meditation, getting more clear in your mind, writing, developing yourself, developing your thoughts, etc., and expanding your mind. And aligning yourself with who you truly are, right? Really getting in touch with your spiritual self and your higher self. When you do those three things, mind, body, and spirit, each and every day over a sustained period of time, you notice massive lifestyle changes, because for the first time in your life, you're giving yourself that self-love every single day. And as humans, what we really need more than anything is obviously unconditional love, right? That's the thing that we're all looking for, whether we're aware of it or not, right? Because, just from my experience, it's funny that I'm bringing this up because the other day I recorded a really powerful video about my first awakening, in which I took a bunch of LSD when I was 19, and I was in the middle of a field in Michigan, and I experienced unconditional love for the first time, like a full,
not
like
to cut you off, but wasn't it was it a concert or a show?
Electric Forest. Yeah. And I experienced this like amazing overflow of energy. It was sort of like a volcano. Like all of my energy just flowed up and out, and I felt unconditional love. Like I really felt connected to everyone around me. I felt a real connection with my parents. I felt a connection with my sister. I felt a connection with my brother and with everyone in my life that had ever hurt me. And I realized that the reason they were doing it the reason that everyone was doing what they were doing was because they thought that was the right thing to do, or they were unaware of themselves, and that it wasn't fair for me to judge anyone else because they're all going through things themselves. And it was the first time in my life that I really took a step back and saw things as they truly were. And and that actually was sort of the part of the inspiration for Pillars of Growth, because I just realized that the same experience that I had that day is attainable through consistent daily action on your mind, body, and spirit. And that to me is like the apex of our existence, is to get to a place where we are so in tune with ourselves and so in tune with who we are that we can lead and allow others to follow us, right? We can serve ourselves, serve others, serve this world, and make it a much better place. Again, right? The goal here is to awaken the infinite potential within people, changing the world by first changing ourselves. And that starts with ourselves, and that starts with doing things for ourselves because we value our existence, which is, again, like going into the vision, mission, values, which I guess we could just hop into.
Yeah.
We're already kind of going there. Right. I mean, what I realized was that, and this is something I realized recently, is that for a lot of us, we get into these cycles. And I was having a debate today a little bit with one of my current coaching clients, and we were going back and forth on it, which is so powerful. Like the ability to have a discourse, right? A conversation where we might not agree fully, but we can come together in the middle and find that commonality, right? That ability for us to actually do that. Like that's what's lacking from our culture. And it's a huge issue. People who have different views are obviously against each other. That's not the truth at all.
So polarized.
We're just learning. We're just learning each other, right? Yeah. So what I've kind of been developing and thinking about lately is, okay, so if value, respect, and love gives you the ability to put yourself in that really positive cycle of life and helps you to like live at a higher frequency, okay, so what's the reverse of that? What's the thing that we can't get out of, right? Where are we having issues moving forward? Because this as a coach, like when you have clients that come to you, Austen, like sometimes it's not that they can't follow the fitness program, right? It's that they're like having other issues in other areas of their life.
100%.
And
it's always,
No, go ahead.
9 out of 10 times.
9 out of 10 times. Yeah.
It's in here.
Yeah. So a lot of times it stems from something else. So what I've been thinking is like, okay, so what's the cycle they're in? Which led me back to, circa me when I was 18, 19, 20 years old, where I was really depressed, where I was like an insomniac, where I was on drugs 24/7, where I was a drug dealer, where my mind was very dark and sinister. At times like the darkest it's ever been as far as what I was willing to do to get what I wanted, right? Stuff that I was like, wow, that's really fucking manipulative and dark, dude. Like that's dark for you. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so I'm thinking back to that time, and what I realized was that if value, respect, and love are the cycle of positivity, right? When you value yourself, value your existence, have purpose in your life, you want to respect yourself. You want to do things for yourself, which is an act of love. And when you love yourself, you then can start to do the same with others. I start to look at Austen, and I value Austen. Austen's a great coach. He's doing great things. So I respect Austen. I want to invite him out. I want to hang out with him. And that's an act of love. That's me showing you that love, right? So what's the reverse? The reverse is this feeling of I'm invalid, this void, this emptiness that people feel, right? This waking up in the morning and feeling like people are talking to them, but they're on autopilot because they don't know why they're here. They don't value their existence. So they live in this void, this endless sea of emptiness, which leads to this feeling of contempt, that they're beneath everything else. that when they look around, Austin's so much better. He's better looking. He has all these followers. He's so good with his business, and I'm just this. I'm like just contempt. Yes, which then leads down the path. And I'm like totally going from Star Wars here. This is self-loathing. This is fear. This is hatred, right? And then so what do? You start to hate yourself because you're comparing yourself to all these externalities. And when that happens, guess what? You try and drown yourself in all sorts of ways to escape. Whether it's the TV, whether it's alcohol, whether it's drugs, whether it's pleasures, women. And this isn't just for people who are like socioeconomically not in a higher place. Like this, there are wealthy people that have these problems because at the top, they still realize they have emptiness, right? Emptiness, right, is just the lack of purpose.
Yeah.
It's not knowing where I fit in. You know what I mean?
Beautifully said, man. I mean, not to cut you off, but I love that. Like how that was orchestrated, what you said right there.
Yeah. Well, it actually came to me this weekend. I was on the phone with one of my clients, actually in that journal right there. And we were going in. And what I realized was that she was going through some of that same stuff. And I was like, wait a minute, I have this triangle of truth. Like, what's this other thing? What is the reverse? What is everyone else in? I was like, oh my gosh. It started coming to me like left and right. I was like, this, and this, and this, right? But moral of the story is when we live in that place of this void where it's this feeling of emptiness, this feeling of worthlessness, and this feeling of self-loathing, we just continue to go around and around the bend. So the question is, how do you get out of that? And that's where vision, mission, and values come into play, right? That's the start of understanding what you can offer the world. And it starts with understanding who you are and what you have to offer.
Hold that thought real quick. Where do you think this perpetual cycle that you were just saying, where do you think that stems from? Where's like the origin of everything, do you think? Or where is there an origin?
Yeah, I mean, the origin, I believe, is the culture. Our culture it doesn't inspire people to, it doesn't reward people for digging deeper and learning who they are. And it doesn't reward parents to teach their children to do so. Because in reality, everything that we're going through are all just unconscious manifestations of some traumas that someone went through before us. So our parents don't realize it, but they treat us the same way their parents did. And thus, and so on and so forth. So before you know it, yeah, we're picking up the same things. And so, of course, if our parents don't like themselves, guess what? From 0 to 7, from 0 to 7, when we're in that theta brainwave, when all we're doing is recording everything we hear, and they're like, I don't like myself, I don't like this, you stink, you this, that's what they download. So these kids wake up and they just don't even know who they are. They don't know what they're doing. They're not encouraged to find purpose. They're thrown into schools where they teach the same rigid shit every single year. The teachers don't get paid enough to offer them the ability to go deeper and actually extract their truth and extract their genius and understand their unique gifts. But it doesn't encourage that. It's a culture thing. So if we can get this culture thing right, I mean, we will most likely have more people that are willing to dig deep and put up with the scrutiny of having to, or I should say the patience to actually be patient with themselves long enough to understand what their gifts are. Because it takes so much time. Like, dude, they're still manifesting for you and I. Like, I'm still learning every day. Okay, wow, I did not know I was good at this. Holy crap, this is sweet. Like, what? You know what I mean? If you had told me I would spend like hours writing a day, I'd have laughed you out the room because I was the worst writer when I was young. You know why? 100%.
I'm right there with you.
The reason was because I wasn't interested in it. I wasn't unlocking my creative energy, which I think is also one of the main issues. We're not encouraged to be creative.
Yeah, it's like, how do I put this? It's like we're told to, and I'm not here to bash any type of educational system, but I know we're getting on tangents now. But it's like I feel like the things that we learn in school, some of the things are very mundane, and it's like it doesn't unlock that creativity side. I know what you're saying. Like, and now being almost 30 years old, a year and a half from now, it's taken me some time to discover really what fuels me, what, ignites to me. And again, like you said, man, it's like you got to do that self-discovery. You got to do that self-discovery and really listen.
Yes.
Listen, like what is inside and what, how are you feeling? I mean, because that's really the only way you can truly, what is going on here is how you get that on paper. So back to what you're saying.
No, dude, those were amazing points. And I think what you said about the school system and you know, kind of trickling into that. I mean, dude, it's okay to say it. It's a fucking reality. It's a major issue. Yeah. Like our teachers don't get paid enough to do their job right.
They don't at all. Yeah, it's bullshit.
You pay a teacher $100,000 a year, the education will change. They will care more. 100%. Like you're not giving them an incentive to care.
It's so fucked up. Like I don't get it, dude.
I mean, people don't value it.
Yeah.
Because and that's a whole other conversation, right?
But
here's the thing. This is the main issue. The main issue is the style in which our education is delivered. It's delivered in rooms that are isolated, that look like prisons, and we're children, and our brains are active as hell, and we are so creative. And that's the time in our life to discover a little bit about where our gifts might be, and then move in that direction. There's just way too much. I think the word's rigidity. I think that could be a word, but it's way too rigid, right? It's so structured that it takes away creativity, which is a huge issue. And it wasn't until I graduated from college that I really started to realize that, oh, wow, I have so much free time to be creative. And I can't tell you how many ideas I've had or how many great things that I've been able to execute on. I never would have dreamt that I could do all this stuff without realizing this whole time I've always had this ability and capability. It was just a lack of the right guidance and the right leadership that put me in position. You don't value education or most of everything until you don't have access to it anymore. That is true. But if you don't have access to education to begin with, then you'd be ignorant to it. So we'll have to come back to that because I might have missed the truth there.
Oh yeah, let's save we'll save all that stuff.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, I see. How about DMT? Haven't done it, my man. Haven't done it yet. We'll see. But anyway, moving forward with this, we're going back to how do you bridge the gap between these two triangles, right? Triangle of truth with where there's value, respect, and love, and the triangle of illusions, I call it, because it's not real. It's our own illusion of who we are. It's living in the ego. It's not understanding that there's this thing that I call Gram, that is this representation of me that exists in time and space. Okay? That's basically what I use to put myself in time and space, is this name Gram. This is what he represents here. It's like the little pin on Google. This is crazy. I love this conversation.
We're getting into quantum physics now, guys.
Hilarious, dude. Wait, really, really, really awesome. Right. So anyway, but how do you bridge the gap? And the way to bridge the gap is to understand and start cultivating your vision, mission, and values, right? Start cultivating why, right? Start to understand and think, why are you doing what you're doing? Why do I want to do what I'm doing? And then move to how am I going to do this thing and what constitutes my existence? Like, what am I? And that might even be the best place to start, right? Is understanding what you stand for. What are your values, right? In which case you need to ask yourself serious questions, such as, like, if this horrible thing happened, how would I feel? Or bring awareness to a situation that you go through at the office, or a situation you go through with your family, or a situation you see at the gym, where you feel a certain type of way about something. That usually is an indication of something you value. If someone mistreats someone that you see, you're like, wow, that isn't right. Well, guess what? You're a righteous person. You believe in justice. That could be a value. That could be something that constitutes your existence, right? And so when you start to dive into these values, what you're doing is you're creating, in this void, in this emptiness, you're actually creating like a skeletal structure of who you are. I've never described it like this before, but this is kind of how I'm seeing it right now.
I'm liking this.
Right?
Illustrate this in my mind.
Right? So when I think about me, like, what do I believe in, right? I got service and leadership and integrity, and I believe in curiosity. I believe in gratitude. I believe in humility and vigilance and courage and honor. And all of a sudden, in this black space, if you can work with me, that is the void and the emptiness I used to feel, I start to see the outline of who I am. It's like, okay, these things hold me together. They bind me together, right? But why are they binding me together? Like, what is the reason that they're even need to be here? And that's where the vision of what you want your life to be really becomes something you need to pay attention to. Like, if I could have anything, let's subtract the money, let's subtract the ego. Like, what do I really want in my life? Like, what would actually make me fulfilled and happy? For some of us, it could be going fishing every day. For others, it could be being a coach. For other people, it could be being a writer or working in a corporate job. Like, there's no right or wrong. But when we get really clear on what it is that we actually want in our lives, now we can start to think, how are we going to get it? right? And that's the mission. Like, how are we going to do it? I'm on a mission to achieve this vision. And these values are like my stars. They're guiding the way. As long as I stay aligned with these values, people will be able to understand me, know what I stand for, know who I am, which will attract more of those people to me and vice versa. And thus I'll get closer to my vision faster. And to me, that's the way to bridge the gap, is to get really clear on your values, what constitutes your existence, right? Get clear on how you're going to get to this vision that you want. And when you start to move in that direction, you're naturally going to find value in yourself because you're going to uncover your gifts along the way. And when you uncover your gifts, now you can use those gifts to serve one world, fight through adversity, and thus you have the summation of everything that Pillars of Growth is, pretty much.
So basically, those listening, so what you're saying then, just to kind of reiterate, is values are the starting point, essentially, to uncovering, or I guess cultivating, what your vision and mission is, right?
It could be, right? That's a way to do it. So what I've learned,
right or wrong.
Well, but this is the thing. Naturally, and I don't know how much you have looked into Myers-Briggs personality types, but I spent a really, really good portion of last year studying personality types, cognitive functions, and Jungian analytical psychology. And what I found was that there are 16 different types. And of these types, some of them are intuitives, meaning that they have what you could say is called foresight, or natural intuitions towards things happening, okay, before they happen a lot of times. While other types are pragmatists. They exist in this reality. So they're not necessarily able to move in and out of this collective consciousness. Again, all theory, but what I've noticed is that it's pretty on point. Where am I going with this? What I found is that when you look at the data of the breakdown of the different personality types, 27% of the world are intuitive, meaning they have what you call foresight, which means that for 3 out of 4 people, they might not have the natural vision of what they want. Like for me, I just knew it. Like it just poof, popped up in my head. This is what I want. This is what I'm doing. When my dad died, I saw who I was supposed to be, and I was like, that's what I have to do. And everyone's going to experience it differently. So I think actually this is a really great point, Austen. Thanks so much for bringing it up. There are more than one way to do this. But to bridge the gap, you're going to have to either start with the values and build that little framework of who you are, and then work your way up to the vision. Have the vision right from the beginning and know, okay, that's what it is. How am I going to get there? That becomes the mission. And then what are the values that I need to keep with me in order to stay true to who I am? Or perhaps you start with the mission and you know what you are going to do and how you're going to do it. You're just figuring out, okay, why am I doing this? And then what constitutes it, right? So truthfully, depending on the person you are, you could do it any of the 3 ways. It's really a curious thing, man. It really is.
Yeah, man. It sounds... It's crazy. I never and this is, it's again like our conversation 3 weeks ago to now. It's like I feel like I'm looking at things from an entirely different perspective now, and a lot of it is what we've already discussed. See, now you got me drinking water too.
Yeah, we got to stay hydrated to be out here, dude.
Mm-hmm. That's how these thoughts flow. Yeah, what was I gonna say? How do you? Now, those that if they're confused right now, how would you differentiate mission from vision? Like how the two?
Cool. So there's a really great speaker out there. His name's Simon Sinek. He's also a writer.
Yeah.
Highly recommend.
Why, right?
Exactly. He actually breaks it down super easy in his. But the vision is why, and the mission is how. And I've decided the values are what. Because someone that I'm familiar with. Yes, someone I'm familiar with recommended, or he didn't recommend, he stated once that character are basically your values written down. So like your character is really your values. I'm sorry, your values are your character written down. Does that make sense? So
yes, it makes total sense.
Right.
Yeah.
So as far as the vision, the mission is concerned, like the way that I see it is, for example, let's say the vision that I have for Pillars of Growth as a utopia is one unified world where we value, respect, and love each other as our true and authentic selves. I really believe in that. That is the utopia. That is not going to be easy. I'm not going to sit here and say that's not going to require a ridiculous amount of sacrifice, collaboration, higher consciousness, everything that I have no idea if it's possible in my lifetime or not. But that's like what I envision for the world. Like I really believe that could be a special place where instead of having like whatever 300 X amount countries with different flags. Like we could just have one flag because we're all humans and we live on the same planet. And we don't have different flags from different rooms in the house. So why would we do it? You know what I mean?
That's right.
Literally makes no sense, but I get it.
We're all united in some way, yes.
Yeah. So, but when I break it down a little more, what I notice is that, perhaps the way to describe it and the way that I've done it with my company is the vision is to awaken the infinite potential within people, changing the world by first changing ourselves. I really believe in that. Okay. That's it. I mean, like, it's very simple, very straightforward, very true. If you want to make a change in the world, just change yourself. People will follow you because they see your example. The moment you start telling people to follow you, they don't want to follow you, but they will follow the person who is doing it because they believe it's the right thing to do. And thus you create a leader-follower relationship that cultivates and grows over time, which over time, as a chain reaction, could equate to something massive happening. So it's really, to change the world, we first change ourselves. It's just like when you drop a pebble in the pond, it starts with one little ripple and then it goes out. It's literally the same idea. But how do we do that? Well, the way we do it is that each and every day we work to expand our minds, develop our bodies, and align our spirits so that we can awaken the infinite potential within ourselves, changing the world by first changing ourselves, right? So that's the how. How do we do it? We work on ourselves mentally, physically, spiritually each and every day. Does that make sense?
Yeah, okay.
So vision, this is what we're going to do. And this is the how we're going to do it. We're going to work mentally, physically, spiritually each and every day to grow ourselves so that we can awaken the infinite potential within people, changing the world by first changing ourselves. And that's how I believe it's the simplest to explain. It is something that takes a lot of time for you to get clear on, though. I mean, like, for me to come up with that, I didn't really get clear on it until the last year, 3 years of my business. And if someone would have asked me, I would have been fumbling over words trying to describe what it is. But then when I really put time into it, I was like, okay, like, this is what I'm here for. And of course, the reason that it's so important, Austen, is because just like in our conversation the other day, when we went in, it allowed you to understand me deeper, faster.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
So when we go deeper, faster, in theory, we can become closer faster, which can expedite the growth between the two of us, individually and collectively.
100%, dude. 100%.
So if we want to be more successful as a species, all we have to do is just get more clear on our language.
It was like that. That's now, at the time, I probably wasn't aware of it, but it's like, I was wondering how we connected so quickly. It was like, it was our first time fucking meeting.
Yeah, that's it. We were just honest, open, and true.
Yeah, it was like almost like, I was like, I feel like we've known each other for how long now? Like, face to face. Like, I feel like we've hung out multiple times. I'm like, shit, this is actually the first time we've met face to face.
Dude, and that's the beauty of social media, is that you can be connected with someone because in theory you are. It's basically like, this is the closest thing I can think of. It's like sitting, this is hilarious. I can't speak. It's kind of like the idea that throughout the day, when you watch someone else's stuff, what you're really doing is going through a little portal, talking to them for a second, then coming back. That's kind of what's going on. Like, fucking mental. But that's kind of how it feels. So when you get these touches every day, obviously over the course of time, you build a relationship. It's just like, instead of one long conversation, we had like for 3 hours with, let's say, a minute. And then, like, this is hilarious. One long conversation for 3 hours. In the last couple of years that we've known each other, it's been like 1 minute every day. So we got to know each other just as deep over that time, but we had already, in theory, talked for like a couple hours without ever having spoken a word to each other. So yeah, dude. Yeah, it's so cool. I'm so grateful that social media is a thing. It's I know people like complain a lot about it, but I think that it's just everything that we're seeing that has its issues is just a reflection of our inability for self-control and discipline, of like not getting too connected, not taking it as gospel. Like, it's not gospel. And I know there was someone back there who said, you need to write this down, and like, you really like my explanation. Dude, I really appreciate that, man. But here's the truth.
That's fucking cool.
But here's the truth. I'm not telling you this is the gospel. Like, this is something that I believe. And what's up, Oliver Phelan? And this is something that that I believe is true, but there's still more to the story. There's still more to learn. There's still deeper levels to go. And I think that's the thing that needs to be brought to the attention is it's like, just because someone's an expert or someone has a lot of really great ideas, it doesn't mean that they should be taken for gospel. We need to start looking a little deeper into who's saying what and why, what their intentions are, and start to get a better picture of like who's actually out there. Because, dude, I mean, I don't think that anyone had any indication that you were going to go this deep tonight, Austen, with our conversation, right? I mean, it's usually like the workouts, and of course they're fantastic. I love watching them, bro. You're doing it. It gets me fired up and motivated. But like even you, like, dude, so much more depth, so much more. There's so many more levels, and it's exciting.
Yeah, man. No, it's just. I mean, usually it's just surface level stuff, and that's the thing. That's what I really admire about when we got together. It's like we got into this because there's always a time and place where I want to talk about it. I want to really dive deep, and not that no one's ever willing to. It's like I don't know if it's really the right time and place with that individual to talk about it. Right. And it's like you've really done a lot of self-discovery. You've really I mean, dude, you got away with words. Like it's awesome, and it's so easy to understand. Like the way you describe things. I mean, I'm just looking at right here too what people are saying. Like they're blown away by how well, like I said, you've orchestrated, how well you've illustrated these concepts. Something that's so complex. So I mean, we're talking like quantum physics.
Dude, yeah. Here's the best part. And this is the best part. Is that for me, what I found is that a lot of times, until I start to teach it and go deeper with it, I can't pull those analogies through my mind until I'm in the middle of a conversation. And then these things are just popping up left and right. I'm like, oh my gosh, they connect here, here, and here. Like I never described values like that, but that is like literally how to bridge the gap, right? So this is the beauty of collaboration. When we collaborate together, we create the frameworks for the next level of the systems, and the systems are what's going to change the world, the new ones, and we're going to build them.
100%, man.
Life in a nutshell.
Going back to when we met that one day too, I was like, I feel like I walked away and I was like, holy shit! Like there's so much that if I was by myself, none of that would have, that obviously wouldn't have happened. We wouldn't have had that amazing conversation. Obviously, you weren't there, but not only that, it's like so many like perspectives, ideas. There was like all these, I guess, nuances that popped up, and I was like, wow, like. Where was I like this whole time? Like, why wasn't I, what have I been thinking that I wasn't aware of all these things? Right. So, I mean, it's just looking back on what people said even so far, like it's pretty cool to see people are like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Dude, and I think the coolest part is that there's so many people who are down with it. And that's 100%. The best part, right? And that's the beauty of being the leader, right? When you introduce more of who you are, your vibration, et cetera, to a group of people, they start to come out of the woodwork like, hey, this is me. This is what I'm thinking. Have you done DMT? I really like this. I'm going to write this down. Like, shout out to you for writing it down. Smart. You're a smart man. Like, write, motherfuckers. Write. Like, fucking write. God damn it. This shit ain't fucking rocket science. But if you don't write, you can't develop your own ideas.
Yeah, what is it? Your thumb's connected to your subconscious? Is that true?
I have no idea, but that's awesome. But dude, it starts with stuff like this, like just piles of books and material and just like, fragments of like who I am and stuff that I like, etc. Like living in this realm of creativity. That's by far the best part of being an entrepreneur, is that you're living in your own world, right? Yeah. People say it's the freedom. What they're really saying is that they can set things in their life to match their energy, right? And that to me is by far the most beautiful thing. Like I can do things that are going to challenge me. And you said something interesting about where have I been all this time? And that's the beauty about surrounding yourself with people who are like on the cutting edge and who are like really into topics that have overlap with what you're doing. For example, Ali Hyatt, my man. Ali, I've known Ali Hyatt since I was in 7th grade. He's a good dude. He's from Canada.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ali.
Ali, yeah. Ali, yeah. Like Muhammad Ali Hyatt is his name. But that's awesome. Shout out to Ali. I'm actually also, I didn't tell you this, but I'm also videoing this, so I'm gonna put it on YouTube.
Oh fuck yeah, let's go.
Yeah, we out here. I haven't tested the quality of the sound, so I have no idea what's gonna be the deal, but I think we'll be able to hear you.
Yeah. I was like super like this.
I got you. Got to. Yeah. I knew it was going to be fire, and I'm in like a really good place. My thoughts are like zipping, and anyway, we're going back to what you were saying about feeling like, hey, where was I this time? And that's the beauty, again, of the connection, of getting to know someone, because every person has something that they can teach you, right? There's this really amazing quote that has blown my mind in the last year. It's that when you know how to listen, everyone is the guru.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Mic drop.
Literally insane. I think Rumi said it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, dude. And it blew my mind. I was like, oh my God, like, holy shit. I don't listen at all. Wow. I need to listen to everyone. They all have so much wisdom. But here's the thing. They say it unconsciously. They're not even trying to. And that's the secret. Because if you listen carefully, you will learn things about yourself, learn things about them that you didn't even know you weren't aware of before. And our conversation brought things to surface that you weren't aware of. And the same for me. I learned a ton from you, right? And that's the beauty, right? And the more you get around those people, the more your awareness increases, the faster it increases. I mean, where I'm at now is just the summation and just a summation of me being around other people that were more aware of me than myself, combined with silent reflection, time to process. And obviously, writing and developing my own stuff, reading and expanding my mind, having different experiences with drugs back in the day. I don't necessarily say like, I'm going to be like, yo, go do all this stuff. But what I will say is that they do offer a different perspective. And I do believe that it's like steroids for your mind, or or maybe even more intense than that. Like it's like, hey, if you want to get a perspective now, take this. Like you'll get it within the next 30 minutes and you're going to be thinking fucking differently, because it's going to dissolve everything that you thought, all these barriers and boundaries. And you're going to be like super present and you're going to be very aware, and it's going to freak the fuck out, because you're going to be like, whoa, it's going to be everything at once, everything you don't want, everything you're not saying. Right. But yeah, dude, I mean, collaboration, dude. I feel like in the past I was someone who was like afraid of collaboration because I was secretly worried. I was secretly insecure that other people had really good intentions too. And I I felt inferior in a way still from like back in the day when I was my old self. So I wasn't necessarily the first person to collab with every person. So I appreciate you, because this gets me out of my shell a little bit too. Like recognize it. Like,
dude, I can relate to. You're speaking to the choir right here. I used to be the same way, and still developing, man.
Yeah, it's a thing, but I'm just so grateful for social media. Grateful to have met you. Grateful to have gone deeper, go to these conversations, and just like, there's so much opportunity. And you said something earlier that was really powerful. You're almost 30, and we're so young. It's just such an exciting time. We're gonna look back on this video and be like, wow.
I know, like what, even 2 years from now, it'll be like mind blowing.
You know how it is when you flip back to the old videos of yourself and you're like, what the hell was I saying?
Dude, it blows your mind. So Cal, what was I gonna say? Yeah, man. I guess. So I'm trying to remember what I was gonna say, but I obviously want to acknowledge again, like, you have a way with words, dude, and obviously not just coming from me, but other people can attest to that. It paints and illustrates a picture in your mind that something so complex, yet you simplify it down in a way that anyone can understand it, and it's just, you have a way of really spreading your message and helping anyone understand it, and something that's so invaluable, so deep that, everyone can benefit from. I mean, we're talking about values, we're talking about mission, we're talking about vision.
Hell yeah, dude. Yeah,
like the thing that is literally like the most common denominator, the thing that's governing someone's life,
Yeah.
We're talking about the deep core of you, and to like, I don't know, there's just that conversation we had, like what we were just talking about, like I felt I can relate to you not being able to get out of my shell, collaborate, but going out there and like our conversation, man, like I feel like that, honestly, I gained so much out of that, and not just, I'm not just making this about me, like from what you said too, but like how you gained, some type of value, some type of wisdom out of that. So like that in itself, what I gained, I can go out and help someone else. You know, I can go out and inspire someone else. You know, and these conversations, they are so empowering. They are so empowering. But I guess the point I was trying to go with this is, dude, you have such a way with words that is, and whether you realize it or not, it's very, I guess the word is like, you know, it's inviting. I want to listen. You know, I want to really, not that I don't want to listen to anyone else,
Yeah,
but
I appreciate you, dude.
you especially, when you get on deeper topics, it's very interesting. It's very, you know, like I said, you have this way of getting a complex topic and bringing it down to simplifying it and really painting a picture in it. So I just want to acknowledge you for that, dude.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
it means a lot to me, man.
And your time, man, like, and really, you know, making me aware of, like, what I need to work on. You know, there's always things we can work on, like, you know, getting more clear, like you said, 3 years on your vision, your mission, your values. You know, and I think everyone in this, like, whether it be business, because this also relates to not just business, right? This can relate to anything.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the most important lessons, is that anyone can do this. And, you know, I really appreciate everything you said. I think for a super long time in my life, man, I didn't really have, I didn't have the clarity, and I didn't have the confidence in myself to speak on things that I knew. And I didn't have the level of depth that I've developed. And I think that's really important to note, is that, like, I wasn't always this way. It's something that I've really worked towards, and I naturally found out that I'm able to take topics that are difficult and make them simple. But more importantly, I'm able to confidently articulate things. And I think articulation is something that, you know, being able to make the connections in your mind and then move them and play with them and stuff, it's something that I've developed, but it's also a natural skill. It's a gift that I have. And that is the point of this is, you know, for Pillars of Growth, there are 3 hashtags that I tag on every single post. Use your gifts, serve one world, legends find a way. Use your gifts is literally uncovering what it is that you are great, your genius, and sharing it with the world. Use your gifts, serve one world, serve the world with it. Because I guarantee you, if you find out your gifts, the thing you're great at, and you share it with the world, you will feel fulfilled. When I get off this call and I go eat my eggs, I'm going to sit down there and be like, damn, that was really great, man. Like, I'm so excited that I was able to share with 21 people. Like, imagine 21 people in a room right now. We were just like jamming. We'd be like, let's go. I'd be like, I'm making eggs for everybody, baby. We out here, right? So, and then of course, like, legends find a way, which is the summation of just you overcoming yourself. So overcoming that insecurity and that fear, right? Because fear is something you create, which means that to overcome fear, you have to overcome yourself. It's all about you overcoming you. So legends find a way is battling through it. And those hashtags, like, that's also a reflection of me and, like, my life and the journey that I've gone through. And I think, you know, for you to say that, it means a lot to me, something that I continue to work on. And it's because of people like you who are willing to collaborate with me and want to chat with me that we're able to do this and make this and make the video. And I know someone was asking if the video will be uploaded to YouTube. The answer is yes. And I'll share everything, of course. But dude, I'm just grateful for you. And I mean, I think one of the things that I really love about you, Austen, is just, like, you're such an open person. And you said, I'm inviting, dude, you're like the most inviting person ever. You meet anyone, you walk into a room, it's like, Austin's here, party started. Like, you're just super cool, super chill, super down. And I think one of the things that you do a really good job of is, I mean, you're genuine, I shouldn't say do a good job of, you just are, you're genuinely curious. Like, you want to learn more. You want to develop yourself to be a better coach, a better man, a better boyfriend, a better son, etc. And, like, that right in itself is something that's going to allow you to continue to grow as a person far beyond your wildest dreams. And that is that a lot of times for many people, and for myself included, is all we need is permission through validation. Sometimes we talk about external validation. It's not bad to have external validation. It's just not good if that's the only thing that gives you any fuel, gives you any mojo, right? So the thing that I love about you is that you're so consistent with everything. Dude, when I watch your stories, it's like, bro, he's doing his intermittent fasting. He's really on that shit. He's fucking posting his big meals. He's counting his calories. Even when we were out, you got your food. You're like, yeah, I'll save the rest of this for later. I'll steal my calories. I'm like, fuck. I wish I had your discipline, bro, because shit, it takes me everything. I got the company Raw Rev. They have, like, little plant protein bars. Fire. I posted on my story and they sent me 3 fucking boxes. And dude, I'm eating like 4 a day, bro. let's just say this. That's a lot of fiber. Okay? Yeah. Literally. It's been ridiculous, dude. So, like, I want your discipline. I shouldn't say that. I need to develop my own, but you inspire me, motivate me, and lead me towards developing my discipline. So I thank you for that.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I think that one day the reason I didn't eat a lot of those is because I had like 5 calls back to back. I didn't want to fall asleep.
Right. And I feel you on that.
But if it was any other day, yeah, maybe I probably would still not eat everything. But dude, I housed that when I got back after calls, man. I was glazed donut, fried chicken.
Savage.
You know,
savage, bro.
Green beans.
Awesome.
Yeah, man. I mean, this is crazy because like this, I feel like this conversation. I mean, I'm gonna say at least a dozen Instagram lives collaboratively with other people, and you know, this one definitely stands out. You know, from a lot of them, and I think it's not only the topic, but also the one who has also you know, facilitated this with me in particular. You know, this has been, I think, just a very off the cuff as was intended, but in a very organic, authentic, you know, live. Like there's no fabrication whatsoever. I didn't have a script. You know, I wasn't like, you know, nervous trying to think of like all the like the next question to say. I feel like both you and I, like this is so like real live stream. Like this is how a conversation is. How it would be in person. You know, I think it's better than our first conversation.
I think so. Yeah, I think it's fire. I'm having a great time. Yeah, no, dude. Like I said, I think this epitomizes what this should be, and I just want you to know that you've inspired me even more so. I started a podcast like 2.5 years ago, and I never followed through with it because I didn't feel like the name was aligned with me, but I'm gonna be starting that up in March, and we're about to go in. So I would love to have the opportunity to. Don't want to keep bombarding this convo, but you guys should totally start a podcast. There you go. Ali, he knows. So I got to get you on mine, brother. 100%.
Dude, this is wild because, wow, I'm not even going to, like, bullshit you. That was literally, and it's so weird. I was literally about to say the same thing. I don't know if you know, I started one a while ago, 2016.
Oh, dude, we're in. Count me in. And vice versa.
It wasn't aligned, man. The time wasn't right.
Yeah.
You know, I was trying to do, like, multiple things that we've talked about before. And it wasn't, at the time, I don't think I really had stepped into that version of me to be ready to do it then. You know, I wasn't fully aligned with really just what the concept of the podcast was, you know, going back to the mission, vision, values. But, you know, was it Ali?
Yeah, Ali, yeah.
Yeah. Ali, thanks for the inspiration right there. You know, you acknowledging that as well. Yeah, man, we both. I mean, this is something I might consider very soon as well. I mean,
yeah, I've been putting it off for freaking ever, and I already have the name of it. I have the cover art for it. I do shit like this. I get everything done, and then I like wait, and it's time because I just enjoy the hell out of this and. We need to have more conversations, all of us as humans, because that's what's going to move us all forward. Just think about all the growth that was facilitated tonight just by you being like, yo, man, we should totally do an Instagram live. Because if it were vice versa, I probably wouldn't have asked you because it's not something I'd really do. But it sounds like I should probably do it more because I get my best idea. I get the most clarity when I speak on it, apparently, in front of other people. So we out here.
Dude, it's crazy that happens. So, like, it's I don't know what it is. Maybe it's like that slight bit of pressure having eyes on you. Like, you know, you have that little bit of a, lack of a better term, arousal. Like,
sure.
You know, a little bit of stress.
You're hilarious.
Arousal. You ever heard that before?
I don't know if I know the joke, but I know the word.
No, but so I remember I was in school and I was in sports psychology. And they were like, the athletes that do the best are the ones that are slightly aroused. I was like,
what?
Sexually? They're like, no, get your mind out of the gutter. The professor was like, no, like stress arousal, like as in like there's different forms of arousal, and you know it's a generic term, but essentially
arousal in the term of like your angst. You know, you have a little bit of anxiety, essentially is what it just means. Like your body's like, oh shit, like, you know, I'm about to put myself into something. You know, there's stuff going on. You know, people are watching me. I don't want to fumble what I'm going to say. So sometimes that actually can heighten what you're about to say, can really expand your vocabulary, can really expand not only your vocabulary, but what really how you articulate certain words. You know, how you present yourself. You know, you can display it. You can really portray your message a lot better than if, you know, you were maybe just sitting on the couch with your phone, like, or, you know, even talking to somebody. We'll not talk about digital stuff, but even just having a conversation, you may be a little bit different. So
interesting.
Yeah, it was just something I learned. Remember talking about arousal.
Yeah, dude, hilarious. You cracked me up.
Like I remember. What was that?
I said you cracked me up, but yes.
What was that?
I said you cracked me up.
Cut out. Yeah. Well, no. Perfect example. R.I.P. I was gonna say perfect example. She brought up actually at the time when I was in school. R.I.P. Kobe Bryant. She used him as an example, where he, you know, I don't know if you knew his story, where he would get in that like Mamba, you know, mentality, where he had alter ego on the court. You ever hear about that?
Kind of,
like,
yeah.
See himself. What's that?
Yeah, I have. Can you hear me?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
You're good now.
Okay, cool. I'm listening. Yeah, on the court, Mamba.
But yeah, he would get himself in that, like, you know, psycho mentality, the Mamba, like when he was on the court. And that's kind of like the concept of what she brought up.
Well, that was an hour, folks, and that was amazing. Shout out to Austen Gravett for hosting that IG Live. We're definitely going to be doing more of that stuff. Like I said on it, obviously, I'm going to start a podcast soon, and I will inform you when the time comes. But I appreciate you if you're watching this or if you saw this video. Definitely some interesting topics that we talked about tonight. More importantly, I think the articulation of them was really on point. So I would love to know if you have any thoughts in the comments and you want to add to the conversation, please do. I do not claim to know everything. I do not claim to believe that this is the only truth out there. I believe that what I said is on point from what I understand right now of my own awareness, but it is growing each and every day. And I am positive that I will look back on it and be like, these things need to change. This is more like that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So with all that said, very, very grateful. Much love to you. Hope this was helpful. Peace, peace.